And uh, all right.
Grand Rising. This is the Straight Talk Morning Show. It is now in the afternoon, and I'm your host, Andre Hill, and our co-host and engineer, Terrence Lake. How you doing, sir?
Grand Rising, everyone. I feel good, nice and cozy in the house and cold outside. Little flurries yesterday, but it didn't stick. But tis the season.
Yeah, man. Well, I saw that game between the Steelers and the Browns, and it was a snowstorm out there on the field. And you guys didn't get any of that in
Not
Detroit?
at all, not at all. That's really strange how it can happen south of us, but up here in the north, everything is dry. Rain, but that's no big deal.
All right. So our co-host and engineer, Andre Hill Jr. How you doing, man?
I am all right, family. Once again, I'm still up in Nashville. Don't have the best background and aesthetics here, so I'm gonna be in the wings today. So you guys will hear my voice, but I'm here.
Well, you ought to share my background because I got sunny beaches here in Clearwater, Florida. I'm at the Jazz Festival, and I just finished watching Theo Valentine perform, and man, that sister turned it out, boy.
Mm.
Oh, my gracious. She put on the show. She's going to be performing again later tonight and also tomorrow, but I'm enjoying myself in beautiful Clearwater. The temperature is a little cool. As a matter of fact, a guy was on the elevator with me, and he just told me that the water temperature is warmer than the air temperature. So if you can get in the water and avoid the air, you could be in good shape. So once again, um, this show is dealing with some particular topics that everybody should be concerned about. And I'm going to start out by reading what I posted. And here how it goes. Good afternoon, family. Tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now at 2 on the Straight Talk morning show, low frequency ETs are using the illusion of witchcraft to subdue our children. Hey, old school psychology and praying to a false god will not help them. They are not listening to us. I have a case sample that may help. So I ran into a young lady, and man, woo, when you think of the psychology that's being used to sway them onto the dark side, now we know what Oprah and P. Diddy and all the rest of them people, what they went through. Um, Furthermore, let's see. Also, I visited one of the last few 40 acres and a mule communities. The reptilian agenda is licking their lips, I meant to say chops, with the intent of stealing their property. There is a solution for protection. We're going to talk about that solution. We've been talking about it for the last couple of weeks, but we're going to try to explain it in 12 different languages so people can get the technology that we're going to need. So hey, it's critical because we got to talk about some of the things that Trump is doing. And, he ain't got in office yet.
I heard that.
Also, I put tune in, but Lucifer's Revenge.net, it will help you acquire a PhD in metaphysics. So, all of the sciences that we're using right now, they ain't working. They wasn't designed to work. So Lucifer's Revenge gives you a different platform or ideology that you can use, that we can use as collective to rebuke this madness that's going on the planet. So we're gonna cover that area here in the show. So we're gonna go ahead and get this show kicked off with the let's talk about the witchcraft. All right, so My son, he's somewhat familiar with, people using tarot cards, and different mechanisms to lure people into their organization or to get them addicted to coming back to them every so often to get an update on what's going on in the spirit world or what have you. But one of the things that we have to take into consideration, these people are making money from this platform. So they're going to give you stories and interpretations that's going to keep you coming back. They're going to tell you about, your love affairs, what you need to do, but it's designed to keep on hooking you over and over again to keep paying them. And it's just a natural survival instinct. If you don't have any skills in other areas and you're a good talker or you studied the science of reading tarot cards, hey, you turn it into a money-making venture. Now, I'm going to also say this about palm reading, tarot. Well, I ain't gonna say palm reading, tarot cards. One of the things I experienced a long time ago, I had a dear friend in Washington, D.C. that advised that I go meet with this woman, and she reads tarot cards and what have you. So, after about 20 times, I finally agreed because I was going through some wild and crazy things in the Washington, D.C. area. Ronald Reagan and George Bush had moved into D.C. and they were pressing to get Marion Barry out, and they had implemented an agenda to divide up the black folks because DC was about 80% black. So they had to get them black folks out of DC to make DC the new world order city. And man, they was doing some crazy things. So they had us in disarray. But so I went to this woman and she started reading the cards, but she could also read my aura. It's not a big deal. It's called telepathic. And if you have a keen sense of reading a person's aura, you can tell whether they're believing what you're saying or not. And so what this woman did, she said, you really don't believe in what I'm saying. I said, well, it's not a question that I don't believe in it. It's just I have some concerns or doubts, how accurate, because the analysis is based on generalities. And so she said, well, let me explain something to you about these cards. She said, your ancestors knew you were going to be here at this particular time, and they knew that you needed to hear a message about things coming in your life, in your future. And so if you don't receive this and accept it as that, it's not going to be effective for you. And I thought about it. I said, you got a point there, because I did understand that, our ancestors, the aliens or an advanced civilization, I've heard about time portals, the Philadelphia experiment, a whole lot of that technology was possible. And so I thought about it and I said, yeah, you might have a point. So I never dogged out the practice, but I do know that there's a negative and a positive narrative with any science. So you can use it for negative to hook a person so they keep, so you can support them financially, or you can use it to say, one time to say, hey, this is an experience. You need to prepare yourself for this and for these things that are coming. And sure enough, I must admit, some of the cards that I saw, there were a lot of trials and tribulations on my horizon, which is typical for a black man in America. And I was somewhat mentally prepared for it because, I saw it in those cards. But you have to be very careful that some people will take those sciences and manipulate you to continue to support their economic system. My son, well, he's familiar with this. He's had a few people, in the business using tarot cards. Hey, man, coming from your generation, what's your take on that science?
Well, So just like you mentioned, um, the cards are typically used as a tool.
Mhm.
The person themselves are the conduit, or what you call the reader, I guess, or the oracle, if you will, right? And now here's the thing: that's it's not a new concept. We've had people who have been very intuitive in all of our cultures for time immemorial, and they've always had different methods of doing what we see people doing with tarot cards today. As a matter of the fact, me as an astrologer, I basically do the same thing when people call me for an astrology read, right? It's just so essentially what people do with tarot cards is what I do with astrology, which is this: we use a tool of frequency to deliver a message that is for the person who is asking for the message. That's simply it. Because mind you, here's the thing: I do quote unquote readings or astrological consultations for people, but I also teach astrology where you can do your own reading for yourself, right? You don't necessarily need me to do it, but if you if you just so happen to want, in other words, if you want an exterior vessel to deliver the message to you, then that's what you want to do, right? So just what you said, just what that I guess you said palm reader told you in DC, that was accurate. It's if you made the agreement to search for a message from, let's say, higher dimensions or quote unquote spirit realm, and we have to take into consideration that is probably the most effective way to communicate with that level of intelligence, because English or any other language in the third dimension is just not fast enough. Is too linear to communicate with that level of intelligence. So what you'll see in a tarot consultation, a astrology consultation, a palm reading consultation is is a is essentially that that person being used as a vessel to convey the message to you with some level of advanced tool. So in other words, you look at the tarot cards, that is an advanced language. Astrology, that's an advanced language. And that's what, the message is being, conveyed through. Now, on the other end of what you're saying, yeah, you do have some people out there who make a living out of that. Yeah, of course. And it's a spectrum on it. Listen, I've got some students of mine who are excellent readers in tarot and astrology, and and I even have to consult them on how they deal with their clients, because some of their clients call them every time they have a problem. And my people, they be like, listen, I don't even want to deal with them no more because they call me with the same problem every time, just wanting to talk. And my and my people are saying, listen, I'm trying to give them some kind of program or a process so they can actually alleviate their problem, but they don't want to alleviate their problem. They just want to talk about it and vent and get it off their chest so they can go back to dealing with it again. That's just the nature of some people. So, in this let's say spiritual industry, because that's what it is. It's like a spiritual industry. I mean, and it even filters over into, let's say, religious organizations too. I mean, what's the difference between somebody asking me for an astrological consultation versus someone going and sitting in um, the booth with a Catholic priest? What's the
Right.
difference, right? So again, we've been doing this in various ways for a very long time. And this is what I can say. You do have some people who may, scam or, use it as a manipulation tool. And then you got other people on the other end of the spectrum like me is, I'm very good at what I do. You got other people who are very good at what they do. And this is what happens when you're very good at what you do when you're doing any kind of reading or consultation. It's draining because you're truly conveying a multidimensional conversation, and it uses a lot of energy. So the least you can do is get compensated for it. Right? So I'll land that plane there. But that is my overall spell on that.
All right, well, hold that point because I got to come back to you to deal with this case sample. Chairman, what's your experience with the here and after?
Well, when I was younger, my mother went to a tarot card reader, but she told me after she had went, but she didn't explain what was going on. And I was too young to understand, but that's my only experience with that, type of mojo type situation, if you want to call it that. But does tarot card reading, in a sense, with today's say concept of being a channeler, we got a lot of channelers where I've never heard of that back in my day, but today it seems to be really prevalent. And these channelers, they have a spirit that comes into them and speaks through them to give society a message. Just like when I had my brother on the show that one time when he was speaking, but he was speaking in another language. So what good is that to me? He's speaking in another language and I don't understand, you know. But it was using him, and I know it was using him because I know my brother. I'm older than him. I remember when he was born, you know. But these channelers, they're amazing. I could sit and listen to those people talk for days, you know. But yeah, it's something to want to know more about, and it's different nationalities. It's not just Caucasians doing it. It's blacks. I've seen Hispanics. You know, I haven't seen the Chinese, but I'm quite sure there are some. But yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. So with the afterlife you're talking about, the only part of the afterlife is a short, brief moment when I was shot and they were taking me up to the operating room. And when I got into the elevator, the lights just got bright. And that's all I remember. And when I woke up, I was in a room. My mother was there, a preacher was there. And the first thing I wanted to know was I want to go look at a mirror to see what type of damage it did to me. But
Wow.
that's the only afterlife they say about a light. I did see a light, but there was nothing after that. And the next time I recalled was just waking up.
Wow. All right. Well, oh, okay. So we have a case sample situation that I'm dealing with right now. And I want to bring my son in on this because this particular figure subject is a Capricorn like him, and I'll let him break it down a little further. But my son explained to me about when he ventured into the spirit realm, the kind of encounters he's had with personalities, entities, very powerful entities like extraterrestrials, or advanced civilization that drew him into that spiritual realm and challenged him. Well, this young lady that I'm working with right now is a Capricorn, but she feels that she was a negative entity, and and that she's basically sold her soul while she was in the spirit world, and it took away all of her emotions and really drew her into the dark side. And so part of my conversation with her, well, those entities can't come in to you and take over unless you invite them in, and so I was real concerned about that, because we can lose an entire generation or several generations if we don't. And I say, when I say we, I'm talking about the elders of our community. These are the people born in the 40s, the 50s, and the 50s, and halfway through the 60s. If we don't give our children an alternative system of how to deal with the spiritual realm, how to avoid the pitfalls of going into the darkness, like Diddy. And my friend was just telling me about some of the horrible things Diddy was doing, and I'm like, what? And so we have to prepare our children. All money ain't good money, and if you looking for fame and fortune, there's a price. You got to think about why do you want to be recognized, and why do you want fame, and why do you want this illusionary fortune in lieu of your soul? So I thought that this was something critical that we need to deal with. And I'm gonna put the ball back in my son's, because he might be able to relate. This young sister, man, I was explaining to her as an elder, these are the steps that we need to take to bring your soul, bring you back into a balanced situation. And she kept telling me, I don't think you're qualified. I don't think you are the one. You can't say something to me that will instantly return all my emotions. I said, nothing is instant. It took 400 years or longer to get you, your mother, your grandmother, your great grandmother in this sort of state of mind. So I can't say a magic word and then just instantly all you're gonna be fixed. I mean, so I showed all that. So, but so this is a part where my son, he's in the 10th house just like she is, and maybe he can give me some insight on what his generation. I think she's like 3 years younger than you, Junior,
Mhm.
and maybe you can give me some insight. I mean, she had no faith or confidence, and I hit her with everything I could to explain to her, you giving these entities power over you, and you can take it back just by quoting statements of repentance that you want to change. Hey man, what do you think she's going on with this Capricorn female mind?
Well, I'd have to talk to her for one, right? Because I'm gonna be honest, I hadn't had a chance to talk to her, and to do a real, you know, accurate analysis. But in general, like you say, answering your question about the female, the woman Capricorn mind, and let's say um a dark woman Capricorn mind, because I know a lot of Capricorn women, and the good majority of them, the good majority of the ones that I know are pretty enlightened, and they're pretty confident in their enlightenment as well, and confident in their protection from negative entities also. So So it was interesting interesting that you found this particular case. Now, um, what it sounds like though, you said a few key words. It sounds like some generational thing. um, and I want to ask you this. You correct me if I'm wrong. Does she come from a religious background?
So what she did, and I didn't go too deep into it, but when she was trying to fight this abduction, this possession. She was, which was sent me a notice that she was trying to correct her generational curse. So she went to a church to get baptized. And I said, well, hell, you just got in the deeper waters because that, no offense to all you church going people and the baptism, but in an advanced situation like that, that's not the formula. This is a woman that's in the 10th house and she's pretty advanced, and baptizing and quoting things from the Bible don't fix this. And it was demonstrated. It was demonstrated by the advanced metaphysics that I was given it. I was having some real difficulty to the point where it drained me. So no religious. I think she just no. I didn't feel. I don't see a strong religious background. Her mother is from the New Age generation, probably yours. And, she's just desperate, because she wants her daughter fixed, if not, she's going to end up taking care of some grandchildren. So no, there's no strong religions. And she acknowledged that, it didn't fix her. The baptism and all of that, which I knew wasn't going to fix her.
Right, 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 right. So in other words, she's saying she experienced some kind of demonic possession. I'm trying to figure out what the issue is. What
Yeah,
happened?
so the demonic, she experienced um an entity on the dark side uh forcing her or finessing her to sign a contract to turn her soul over to this entity, and then that put them in a position to actually switch her soul with another entity. And I'm like, that one's, they can't switch your soul. Because I said, well, what is the other person's name? She told me, and I called that name out. No, nobody answered. I'm talking to her. I called the name twice and then three times. I said, well, that individual is not in you because it didn't respond. So you're in control of the vessel that you incarnated into, and
Mhm.
so those entities don't have power over you.
I'm gonna be honest. Um, so here's the thing about Capricorns in general. Capricorns make some of the most powerful sorcerers in either direction, the dark ones or the light ones, either one. And so, and it sounds like to me, because typically most Capricorn people are pretty, mentally solid on, you know, understanding which side they want to be on, and understanding, um, who's in control, and or let me say this, what they're agreeing to. We understand that pretty well. We understand, whatever experience we going through, we pretty well aware of what we're agreeing to and getting ourselves into, right? So I'm saying this, she's saying that a demonic force is finessing her, but like you say, finessing means negotiation, means you have to agree, right? Like you said, you have to sign a contract. So it's not a thing of whether or not someone is forcing her or making her do it. It's her struggling with whether or not she wants to dabble on that side of the spectrum or not. Because Capricorns also struggle with um, a lust for power. Also struggle. In other words, just think of Anakin in Star Wars. His tutelage and his internship with becoming a Jedi, right? That is typical when it comes to Capricorn people in general. We kind of go through that. We all go through that in silent. You don't necessarily see that on the big stage, but most Capricorns go through that in silent. So that's what it looks like. That's what she's going through, just based on the information that I got from you. That's what it sounds like. So you remember how Anakin was You know, he was playing the victim as much as he would like to, right? But the truth told it. I mean, he made the choice to join the dark side because that's what he wanted to do. His life was not so bad to where he had no choice but to join the dark side. That's what he wanted to do. The Sith couldn't make him do it. Darth Vader couldn't make him do it. He was a prodigy. He was a prodigy, and he saw the power of it, and he chose it. That's what it really boiled down to.
Okay, so this is my question to you. All right. I always, when I are giving a presentation to younger generations, the first thing I do before we open up dialogue is I apologize on behalf of my generation for selling their generation out. And I do that because I know, as we said on this show over and over again, in the 60s, we were dealing with desegregation, and we were hoodwinked, bamboozled, and led astray into believing that this European system was going to accept us in as equals and stop the murdering, the raping, the hanging, and the discrimination of the original humans on this planet. And so we lowered our guards and said, and told our children to go to their schools, go work and get educated and go work for a group that typically that is envious, jealous, and hateful of our melanated skin. And so the generations, all of those generations behind us that were born in the 40s, the 50s, and the middle 60s, we lost them. They don't have any respect for us. Now these kids done gone through all of this craziness, and they don't have no respect for us. So they don't, like this kid, she wouldn't accept what I was saying. She challenged me every step of the way. She didn't take into consideration of this gray hair in my beard and how I got to this point. It was like, I don't think she didn't say this, but I don't think you're qualified. So, Junior, tell me, man, what do we need to do to get y'all to understand we still love you guys? We want y'all to, most of us recognize we messed up from the 60s, all right? And we want to fix this. What do we need to do to get you guys to pay attention, to understand our value to our people as elders? What do we need to do?
Hmm.
Good question.
Very good question. Well, okay, so my generation, I've been analyzing my generation as well recently, and I notice one difference as far as, I'm sorry, I'm gonna be practical about it, but this is a difference that I've noticed, among my generations versus y'all's. When it comes to, let's say, efficiency on, I want to say, I guess, getting things done and maintaining a a certain level of, I don't know, class, I guess. My point is, my generation is not as well equipped to deal with um this world the same way y'all are. Not the majority of us. So, and I hear a lot of my generation saying this, especially Black people. You know, y'all's generation just didn't tell us how to deal with this world. I hear my generation saying that all the time. They say they ain't tell us how to deal with this world at all. And I understand what they're saying. Um, and I guess they're speaking to baby boomers in particular. But so saying all that to say this, and it's because it's a very large conversation I'm trying to condense. But right now, I think what's most necessary is is that whatever circumstance that my generation is going through, especially as far as survival goes, that y'all's generation stick with them and or support them as much as necessary. And I guess what it looks like is just returning to the ways of old when we had very large intact families and or where the families are operating the same way a lot of foreign families do when they come over here to the US. Like take for instance, when I was working for a cable company, I saw a lot of different homes of different cultures. And so I saw, regular Americans, basically, we talking black people, white people, and then I saw a lot of foreigners as well. And so when I went into foreigners' homes, it was a whole different culture. You had three generations in one big old house. I remember I went to an Indian's house. I mean Indians from India. I mean this they had a 3-story home, and I'm pretty sure the great grandparents, the grandparents, the parents, and the children lived there. I'm pretty sure that was the setup. And they had a very lavish house. It was pretty much a mansion, and they lived there very comfortably, and everybody was in support of one another. You know how especially black people, we want our space all the time. And there was plenty of space in this house, plenty. Right? I was tired of carrying stuff up and down four flights of stairs. There was plenty of space in this house. My point is, they had a very intact and supportive family, and I think that is probably one of the most one of the best remedies for my generation right now. And because I hear when you say all the time that you just said it a minute ago, um, the grandparents gonna end up taking care of the grandchildren, and to some extent, um, yeah, some things like that may need to start happening. Um, because truth told is my generation is not equipped to deal with this new uh, capitalistic system right now, and it's like you say, it's a meat grinder, and a lot of my generation are willing to live in let's say cooperative situations right now. A lot of them are looking forward to that. So long story short, I'm landing this plane. Supporting my generation in aspects like that would probably be most effective.
Okay. All right. So let me kick this back to the chairman. Me and the chairman understand the mission. We work together just like brothers from another mother. So, chairman, can we do this? I mean, what do you think?
Well, with that situation, when we came up and had children, we made sacrifices for our children. We do anything to advance them, to help them in any kind of way. We work, you know, 10, 12 hours a day if necessary to give to them the things that we didn't have. And I think in some senses, we spoiled a certain percentage of that generation. And that's why I think they didn't have the respect for us because they didn't know what we went through to get them where they're at. Unless they just totally denied and didn't do what we tried to get them to do. I mean, like it was hard for me to get in college because I had to get out and get a job and work, you know. But once I got a job and working, I tried to provide for my children. if I couldn't afford to give them that college education, I tried to persuade them to do something because there were grants and everything else that was coming out for this generation that we called, our what do you call it? The generation after us, our children. You know,
I
we
forget the name.
but we tried to provide for them, and I think by them not struggling like we struggled, it spoiled them, and that's why they didn't have the respect for us because they thought everything was just laid out on a platter. They didn't realize what we had to go through to get them where they got. You know, the boomer generation, that's what we call them after us, the baby boomers. You know,
I think you right on the edge with the baby boomers. There's another generation after us. Yeah.
Um,
Yes.
the
so
millennia.
now I think there's Generation X.
Okay, I thought that was
Yeah.
after the millennium.
Is I think I think Generation X is from 65 to the the late 70s, and then I think the millennials are uh I forget. I think
Well,
the
who were the
millennials.
baby boomers?
I think from I think
46 to 64.
right.
And the millennials are from 81 to 96. So Generation X is after the baby boomers. That's
Okay, so
64. Yeah.
we were the baby boomers.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah. From 65 to 1980 is Generation X.
okay.
Yeah. All right. So Chairman, I got the $54 million question for you.
Hmm.
Now, Trump is going to bring this reality, the way he's operating, he's going to bring this reality in. But let me ask you this. Are you prepared that if your sons and daughters say, look, we getting ready to get our ass kicked, and we're working in this European system, why don't we all move in one house, bring all our money and resources together to go buy some land and to grow our own food, to get off the grid and join with other Aboriginal nations? Is our generation ready to do that?
I don't think so. They're too used to having. And believe me, if they came together and we went in that direction, we would make major changes, especially on an economical basis. But we're our pride is, I got mine and you go get yours, you know. And then they don't want to be in our household under our authority, feeling that we would be, you know, being like a slave master, dictating to them what to do and when to do it. It needs to be a cooperation. We need to have an agenda that this is what we're trying to achieve. These are the sacrifices that we got to make, because sacrifice got to be made when you're trying to get something. We weren't born with a silver spoon in our mouth. And if we're trying to teach our kids that, they got to go along with this program. Let's work together. And if we do work together, we can achieve it. I love the situation with my grandchildren, especially with my grandson that I'm working with on that piano. And that boy, he just astounds me. He's so brilliant. And they all are, but he just so happened to live 3 blocks from me, so he's here all the time, you know?
All right, Chairman. So the only if our generation, the baby boomers, ain't willing to take the kids back in, telling them give up your property, rent it out. We're gonna bring all our resources together to start buying, some farmland or growing our own food, producing our own water, becoming self-sustainable. Then the only alternative is to join our United Aboriginal American Republic nation, which is going to do that anyway. We're going to start acquiring land and building self-sustainable communities where your kids can come live, and we'll work with building a new matrix for them to participate in.
I think that's a great idea, for sure.
All right, so everybody go to uaarnation.org and put your information in one of the columns. That's what we're starting. Hey, Chairman, I got a public announcement to make. There are two things. One, like I said, I'm in Clearwater, and I said this earlier. I'm in Clearwater, and I'm attending a jazz festival. And I went to see Cleo Valentine. She put on a performance that was mind blowing. And I'm not getting a dime for what I'm about to say, but she performs here in Tampa every Wednesday and Thursday night at Eddie V's. It's out on Boy Scout Road. And man, she is a talented lady. She sings old school jazz. She even play an instrument without an instrument on her. She got an instrument sound without having an instrument. She's phenomenal. So y'all need to check out. Also, I went to here in Tampa, out on Gun Highway, is a new Kiki's. It's 100% owned by a Black woman. I went there last week, and the food, well, I've been to several Kiki's in the Tampa Bay area, but none of the food was as good as the food was in this particular Kiki's. The decor, it was the best Kiki's I ever been in. Keke. It was the best one I've ever been in. And the sister that runs it, man, she's a phenomenal woman. So if you're in Tampa, it might be a little distance from the inner city, but go ahead and spend a little extra gas to go out there and do business with her, so we can send a message that anytime melanated people come together, we represent. But hey, the food was more delicious than the other keys. I don't want to start no crap with her and her franchise, but I don't know. They did something. I mean, the food is good at the other ones, but it seems like in her restaurant it was better. So y'all go check Kiki's out. Hey, all right. So let's transition into that next topic. I went to, uh, excuse me, I visited a little town south of Ocala, north of Tampa. It's called Royal. And in this particular town, it's about 1,200 Aboriginal Native American Black people. They were one of the original groups in 1865 that was awarded through a field declaration. I think it was, I can't think of the general's name, Sherman or whatever. And he declared that, when the slaves were freed, they didn't have nothing to do, nowhere to go. So he wrote a field order to give them 40 acres and a mule. So over the years, a lot of the southern Caucasians have taken this land back through either tax or different injunctions or eminent domain, all kind, anything crazy to take this land back, which was originally theirs, ours in the beginning. So just because Sherman declared it, this is your land, it was our land anyway. But these Southern Caucasian Confederates, devised a scheme to take the land back. But, this is one reason I'm telling you folks to go out and buy the book, Lucifer's Revenge, because our Caucasian brothers and sisters, I'm not going to say they were victims, but they were created through a malicious agenda. And so I have a different appreciation for my Caucasian brothers and sisters. The appreciation is, I don't want to have to go through what they're going through. And that means you're living a lie, that you're superior, that all of the history, the mathematical formulas were contaminated just to accommodate them with white supremacy, which is only used to level the playing field for Caucasian people. Because It's kind of a disadvantage, you know, in most Caucasian bodies. Aboriginals, the original humans with melanin in their skin, that's the representation that they're original, which means we were designed for the surface of this planet. So if you don't have melanin and certain attributes, you know, you're gonna have a hard time on the planet. And so if you have to implement an illusion like white supremacy in order to level the playing field, that's going to be a problem, a real problem. So I understand, you know, why a lot of Caucasians voted for Trump. You know, I understand that because he was slick enough to know that, you know, if I tell the Caucasian people I'm going to maintain white supremacy for them, they're going to vote for me because they need that, you know, to supplement, you know, the discrepancy in their DNA. So I have a better understanding of my Caucasian brothers and sisters. I don't wish, you know, that on anybody. And I'm gonna give them some good advice. Start working on becoming benevolent so that you can regain your privilege to have a melanated body. Now you got to think on that one. You might have to even go talk to a priest and ask them, what did Andre Hill Senior mean by that? You know, but you know, you'll figure it out. You'll figure it out. You want to get the privilege of having a melanated body because then you don't have to do all these horrible things to exist. You don't have to murder, rape, kill, steal, lie, cheat, you know, to maintain, you know. So, but I'm gonna leave that right there. So, a lot of things that are going on right now in this little town. They had at one point 3,000 acres, but through eminent domain, through the fact that one of the presidents didn't really like Sherman and what he did about the 40 acres and the mule. So that little agenda is secretly taking the land. They didn't discredit them from having 3,000 acres down to less than 1,500. I don't know how they did that. But at any rate, the group is petitioning the various governments, the local, the county, and the state governments to protect them from these agendas. I call it the reptilian agenda because I want to give my Caucasian people the benefit of the doubt. You know, because in Lucifer's Revenge, it'll explain to you how the Caucasian people are being manipulated to do these crazy things. And if you don't believe it's getting ready to get crazier, you know, one of the dictatorial laws that Trump is starting to work on right now is any reporters that report something and if they get the information from a private individual, the law protects them from revealing their source. Well, Trump wants to remove that law so that if they don't reveal their source, those reporters will go to jail. Now, that's a serious offense because then people won't want to tell on other people, you know, they might tell the truth. Somebody might be raping a child and they see it. And if they go call up a reporter and say, hey, that man or that woman is raping this child, you know, then that rapist can retaliate on the person that told on them. You know, that breaks down our system of accountability. So
Yes.
if you are ignorant enough to want to do something like that, you know, you are moving in down a very slippery slope of democracy. So what I'm going to tell all the melanated people on this planet right now, you need to get with our Aboriginal nation. We're separating from this foolishness because as long as they keep voting in white supremacy, these kind of things are going to happen, and it's going to have a profound effect on our society, on our planet. You know, and as you see, they done pushed. They're pushing the slope, the curve. Vladimir is reclassifying the requirements to use nuclear warhead. So if you keep escalating with this dumb crap, we're gonna lose. Not only are we gonna lose our privilege to have melanated body, we're gonna lose our privilege to live on this planet. Hey, Chairman, um, you
Well,
know,
I understand what you're saying about Trump because even right now, he's trying to dictate to the ball players. When they do their little celebration dance and stuff like that, he's trying to get them to stop. And I think he took it to the NFL commission and they say, well, that's no problem. We can allow them that little second of, playing and having fun because we want to keep the game of fun, you know, and that's crazy on his part, the way he want to try and dictate. Like that comment he made about LeBron to shut up and keep driven. When LeBron's made a political statement, he's trying to tell LeBron, shut up. You ain't got no business saying nothing. You just keep dribbling. That's what you're good at. Like this guy is going to create a lot of problems. But I was glad to hear the Football Association give those kids opportunity to express themselves, as long as they don't take all the time in the world doing it. They go over there, they run, they throw their hands up, they clap a little bit, and then that's it, and what's the problem? Keep it fun. It's a sport. It's not serious like going to war and killing babies.
man, just recently, 40,000 men, women, and children over in Palestine. And right now, you melanated African American Black people, every time you pay taxes out your paycheck, you're contributing to the murder of those children. So, so let's start working on the plan to separate from this craziness. Let us develop dual citizenship. Go to our site, uaaronation.org. Join up with us. We're going to start submitting paperwork, application for you to get your dual citizenship. It ain't a sin to have dual citizenship. A lot of people have dual citizenship. So all we're doing is reclaiming our Aboriginal status. There's a law on the books in Virginia that our Aboriginal status was taken from us during the slavery times, and we were classified as Negroes. That was a legal manipulation to take away our nationality so we won't have rights in our own country. So stop playing this game, sticking your head in the sand and acting like this ain't happening. Because when you listen to the Straight Talk morning show, this is the afternoon now, we're going to tell the truth. You're going to have to take your head out of the sand. So all you people from me and the chairman's generation, you need to get with us because them grandbabies going to come home and you don't have a plan other than they're going to be eating up your retirement, cutting in on your privacy. Our plan is to put them on, start developing tribal land and communities, self-sustainable communities, so that they can have the opportunity to share in the prosperity of life on planet Earth. White supremacy can't allow that. It's in our book, Lucifer's Revenge. It'll tell you, when you read Lucifer's Revenge, it will give you it will elevate you beyond what a PhD degree is. So you need to get a copy of that book. Go to lucifersrevenge.net. You can go to my website, my Facebook page, and you'll see Lucifer's Revenge all over the place. It'll take you to Amazon, or you go straight to Amazon. Lucifer's Revenge by Andre Hill Sr. and Andre Hill Jr. and order our book. Chairman, tell them how they can find your book.
They can find my book by going to my website, www.godschildren.biz, B-I-Z. And my book is all about bringing society together. I talk about how we were created in other solar systems and we got technologically advanced and came in contact with each other, but we got into religious differences and we started warring and we became so destructive that we were almost ready to destroy the universe. And that's why the extraterrestrials are trying to stop us now in certain cases by shutting down nuclear plants and stuff, things of that nature. And if you don't believe it, you can Google it and find out about, what the extraterrestrials have done to nuclear silos. So my book is about bringing us together so we don't have to resort to war, and we can come together. And then we're able to go out into the universe and greet our extraterrestrial brothers and sisters. And it's in the book, but you need to get it because there's more than that in the book. But it's a great ending. If you get to the end of the book and you see it, it'll just make you feel joy in your heart, in your soul, in your spirit. But get that book and read it.
Hey,
God's Child.
uh, so, folks, look, the chairman and I are dedicated to making a difference on this planet and saving our children. And chairman, I know me and my son, we've committed to using the resources to create an economic structure to how our children out of this European white supremacy slave system. So by buying the book, it's going to educate you and it's going to build a bank to help save your children. It's a win-win situation. Same thing with the chairman's book. I know anytime we need any resources, the chairman go to his bank account and do whatever necessary to keep us going. So that's what we're all about. Don't forget, whenever you're in Tampa, go to Eddie V's, and Eddie V's ain't paying me a dime for this. What? Check out Theo Valentine. That's every time I watch that sister, man, I have to have a tissue with me because I start crying. I mean, she don't sing so bad, sad songs, but it's just to see a sister like that performing, you know, it's a beautiful thing. And
Touches the spirit.
hey, man, 2310 Gun Highway. Michelle owns that Kiki's. Go spend some money with that sister. Let's support her. Hey, we're gonna leave it to the young generation to close us out, and we're gonna see you next week. Go ahead, man.
All right. Well, been a great show. Everybody, we apologize for the delayed start time, but again, we're on YouTube at Amaru Day. Hit the subscribe and like button to help us get our viewership and followership up, and we really appreciate that. And we love y'all, and we'll see y'all next week.
All right.
Peace out.